Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a makeup and true crime. Today we're going to be going through the case of Marylin and Dennis Depue, the case that inspired the creature feature Jeepers Creepers. When I came across this case, I knew I had to do it. I really enjoy the Jeepers Creepers movies, two being my favorite. This is the real life monster that inspired Jeepers Creepers. So let's jump right into it. 11 years prior to the Jeepers Creepers movie that was released in 2001, in April of 1990, Marylin Depue was reported missing by one of her 3 children in Coldwater, Michigan. Marylin was born January the 24th, 1941, and she was married to a 47-year-old man named Dennis Depue. The Depues were seen as happy, middle-class family. Dennis and Marylin had 2 daughters and 1 son together. Marylin worked as a high school guidance counselor, and Dennis worked as a property assessor. Although they put on a happy face, their marriage was deteriorating. Dennis would often start fights in front of the children, and the children became withdrawn from their dad. Dennis seen this as Marylin had turned the kids against him, and Dennis's behavior exhausted Marylin, and she wanted out of the relationship. She told her co-workers she wanted a divorce. She wanted out on her own and away from Dennis. And after 18 years of marriage, she had had enough, and in 1989, Marylin went and filed for divorce. And during the divorce, Dennis was cooperating and agrees to give Marylin anything and everything she wants. Anything she asks for, it's hers. He may have wanted to show her he was a nice guy. Despite all his nice efforts, the divorce was finalized and Marylin was free. In the divorce, Dennis was granted bi-weekly visits with the kids. The children didn't want to spend time with him or go with him. This angered Dennis. In the divorce, he was also given access to a guest house on the property behind the house. He used this place as a work office. He would go there not really to work, but to watch the family, to send the message to Marylin, no matter what you do, I will always be here and you will be under my thumb. One way he would assert this is she would go to work or do errands. Even though she would change her locks, she would come home and he was in the house. Dennis was having a hard time. He centered his whole life, his whole being around Dennis, the husband, the father, the family man. His wife and kids didn't want him, and he lost his house. Everything is gone for Dennis. He went into a depression, not a healthy spiral. He was telling people he wanted to kill himself and his ex-wife. Easter Sunday, 1990. Dennis drives to the house because it's his day with the children. And when he gets there, his youngest child doesn't want to go with him. He is hurt and scorned. He is rejected. Dennis tries to strong-arm his son into going with him, and Marylin sees this and intervenes. This pissed Dennis off. An argument started, and it quickly turned physically violent. Dennis shoved Marylin down a flight of stairs, and she landed at the bottom in the basement. He then goes down the stairs himself and begins to beat the crap out of Marylin. All of this is happening in front of their children. The oldest daughter calls police, but they would be too late because Dennis then forces Marylin, bloodied and beaten, up the stairs and tells the children he overreacted and is taking her to the hospital. We know now this was a lie. Police arrive at the house, and after hearing the story from the kids, they immediately start searching for Dennis and Marylin. We are finally at the point in this case that inspired Jeepers Creepers. And on that same day, Easter Sunday, 1990, Ray and Mary Thornton, a married couple, are going on a little drive, spending time together. Ray and Mary end up on a normally deserted stretch of Michigan back road. They had been playing the license plate game, and out of nowhere, this van comes up behind them quickly and swerves around them and continues on in a hurry. And Marie notices the plates, and the first letter is G, and the last letter is a Z, and she says, "Geez, that guy was in a hurry," because they were playing a license plate game. They laughed and forgot about it. until they came upon an old abandoned schoolhouse. They looked over and see the van parked at the schoolhouse, and the driver is out and carrying a bloody sheet. They continue to drive, scared and confused about what they saw, and before they could decide what to do, Dennis is behind them in his van, and he follows them for a few miles. How scary is this? See somebody holding a bloody sheet and stuff, and then before you know it, they're behind you telling you. That's scary. Ray sees a side road, so he turns off, and Dennis continues down the other road. Ray and Marie decide this man was up to no good, so they get back on the road, get behind Dennis to get the rest of his plate number so they can give it to police. As if Dennis read their minds, they came upon him, pulled over, removing his license plate. You know, you're already there, you know that you're up to no good, and you're seen removing your license plate. As they drive by, they notice the passenger side door was covered in blood. Ray and Marie make the decision to turn around and go back to the schoolhouse and see for themselves what he was doing there. When they got there, they found a bloody sheet partially buried in a hole in the ground, and it looked like an animal had dug that. They didn't find Marylin. The couple called the police and told them about the school and what they found in the van. Police put two and two together, and when the police got to the school, they found the sheet and a large pool of blood. They determined that most likely Marylin was no longer alive. There were tire tracks that matched the Depue van, and the blood found was a match to Marylin's. Police were correct. The following day, Marylin's body was discovered by highway workers in a ditch on the side of the road. She had suffered one gunshot to the back of her head. Dennis is gone, nowhere to be found. Now where could Dennis be? While Dennis was on the run, he began to send letters to family and friends to try and justify murdering his wife. He was victim blaming, and he wasn't taking responsibility for what he had done. He sent about 20 letters, and they were postmarked in several different states. He was moving around while on the run. He wasn't staying in just one place. The case went cold, and it took nearly a year for police to find Dennis. A large part of why police was able to find Dennis in the end is Marylin's case was featured on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Dennis had begun living in Dallas, Texas with his new girlfriend. Are you serious? March 1991, the day the Unsolved Mysteries episode aired, Dennis's girlfriend came home to find Dennis frantic, running all around their place, packing up his stuff. He told her there was a family emergency. He needed to leave alone. She didn't believe him, and he was trying to block the TV because the episode featuring the wife on Unsolved Mysteries was on. Why wouldn't he just turn the TV off? He continues to pack his things and ask her to make him a sandwich for the road. And she does. He loads up his van and leaves. She knows she'll never see him again. She just has this feeling. She realized that night that her boyfriend, Hank, because he was going by Hank then, was really a wife killer named Dennis. And she called the police and gave them Dennis's new license plate number, and they started to look for him. He was finally discovered in Louisiana, near the Louisiana-Mississippi border. A car chase ensued and ended in Mississippi after Dennis drove his van through 2 police barricades and drove into several police cars. Cops then try and shoot out his tires, and they shoot the back tires, and the van comes to a stop. Dennis starts to shoot at the cops. The police shoot into the van. But because his van is full of cardboard boxes and stuff, they don't hit him with any bullets. Dennis realizes he can't go anywhere. He shot at the police, and they are shooting at him. There is no way out for Dennis. So, Dennis puts the gun in his mouth and pulls the trigger, taking his own life. No justice was served for Marylin, or her children, or her parents. And Marylin's mother said this ruined her, knowing her daughter was killed in such a violent way, and there was no justice for this family. Cases like this always frustrate me so very badly when there is just absolutely no justice for the family. And that was the case of Marylin and Dennis Depue, and it inspired the Jeepers Creeper movie a tad. So I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about Marylin and Dennis Depue today. And I thank you guys so very much for watching. Stay tuned for more true crime playlists linked in the cards, and there'll be additional links linked in the description box as well. So definitely check that out. Thank you so very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.